Good morning, Manitoba. I'm Larry McIntosh, and I'll be your host for the next hour every Saturday morning from 8 to 9. Thank you for tuning in. I know I'm a bit early, but we have a very special birthday coming up. Yes, on Tuesday, May 12th, Manitoba is turning 145 years old. We should all take some time to celebrate this very special occasion. This is the 145th anniversary of the Manitoba Act, receiving royal assent officially acknowledging the province as part of Canada. One of the celebrations of Manitoba Day is happening today at the Manitoba Museum. From 11 to 5 today, admission will be free, and they're even having cake. I'm told the Manitoba Museum is the host to the largest Manitoba Day celebration in the entire province. So celebrate Manitoba Day at the Manitoba Museum from 11 to 5 today with free admission and cake. My guest this morning is Dwight MacAulay, Chief of Protocol for the province of Manitoba. Good morning, Dwight.
Good morning, Larry. Thank you for having me back. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and happy Manitoba Day on Tuesday.
And happy Manitoba Day to you, too. It's and you know, thank you for always promoting Manitoba Day. I think it's fantastic that you've always done this for many years, and good on you for keeping that tradition going.
Well, it's a special one. You know, every 5 years is extra special, 145, right?
It is special, you know, and we're not very far off of the 150th. And, of course, in 2017, Canada is going to celebrate its 150th. And
right.
5 years from now, we're going to celebrate our 150th. But you know, it's a great day, and it's a great day to be a Manitoban. Actually, every day is a great day to be a Manitoban. So I'm looking forward to a really good day.
And regular listeners of Food and Friends know how proud I am to be a Manitoban and how I go on and on about what a great province we live in. And we should celebrate it every day. But this particular day is a day set aside, and it's not a holiday. It's a day to celebrate how lucky we are to live here.
You know, bang on. We are very lucky to live here. And I think, you know, I always get a little upset when I hear people thinking that we're the consolation prize, if you will, to be in Manitoba. But no, this is the grand prize, I think, to live in Manitoba. I can't think of any place else I'd rather be and live than in the province of Manitoba.
And you've been lots of places, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But Manitoba Day is people, when I say it's Manitoba Day is May 12th, and I kind of mentioned earlier, but people feel it should be a holiday for us to remember that. And I almost think the opposite. I mean, I don't get my birthday off as a holiday, but I celebrate my birthday.
We're working on that, by the way. But,
oh, really? Oh,
no,
that's
your birthday.
That would be very cool. But why do you think we don't get behind it more?
You know, it's maybe a Canadian thing. Maybe it's just a Manitoban thing. We're pretty reserved. We don't brag much.
True.
But we have lots to brag about, and I want to talk about some of the things we can easily brag about. But you're right. Every day is really Manitoba Day, and I think we should embrace it as such. But of course, this day is the day, May 12th, when we officially became the province of Manitoba as part of Confederation, and I think it's just a day where people should just pause for a moment and just reflect on how very lucky we are to be here.
And that's well put. I think that, you know, people want to celebrate it this weekend. They go to the Manitoba Museum, as I mentioned, but take some time and take a step back. And we're all busy. There's so much electronics. There's so many things in life, but take a step back sometimes, and not just Manitoba Day, but sometimes you have to think about how fortunate you are.
Absolutely. Just take a moment and take stock and just think, boy, how lucky are we to be in a province like this. And just like here we are Saturday morning, just like how beautiful last weekend was in the province of Manitoba.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, you know, and it's terrific. So, no, I think we are very lucky to be living here in Winnipeg and wherever you are in the province of Manitoba.
So you have any big plans for Manitoba Day?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's going to be kind of a busy day at the Legislative Building.
Okay.
We have something that I'll talk about a little later on in the program, but it's going to be quite exciting.
So you got Manitoba Day plans?
There is going to be a couple of things going on at the Legislative Building in Manitoba Day. Not huge things,
sure,
but I think things that the public might want to come down and have a look at.
Good. Well, we'll talk a little bit more of that
Sure.
in another segment. And I know there's other places in Manitoba that Austin Agriculture Museum and is having something on, I believe it's on Manitoba Day as well. You can do a search on Google and find out all the different events going on. But I think it is important to really celebrate how fortunate we are to live in this country, and specifically in our case, Manitoba.
Absolutely. And we have so much to brag about, and not just in the city of Winnipeg. You're talking about the Austin Agricultural Museum.
Thank you.
You know, the Brandon Commonwealth Air Training Museum. It's fantastic. One thing I want to make mention of a little bit later on is the dinosaur exhibit that's in Morden, Manitoba, which I think is really terrific. They have one of the largest, I think it's called a mosasaur.
I'll take your word on that.
Just trust me on that. I think it's called a mosasaur in the world. They have the skeleton of one of these giant reptiles. So no, there is just lots to do wherever you turn around. I mean, anybody that says there's nothing to do in the province of Manitoba, just needs to get out more because there is lots and lots to do in this province.
And as we've talked in the past show, I've lived all over Canada. I've lived in 4 provinces. I think it's 13 cities in my 18-year career before I joined Peak of the Market. So I've experienced much of Canada. And what I've always found is because you live someplace, you don't tend to get to Morden or whatever to visit these museums because you're always going to do it next year or next month or whatever it may be. Where when I was moving around Canada, I would always go to the museums because I knew I wasn't going to be there in a year,
Exactly.
and I made it a priority.
Everybody should be a tourist in their own province and visit it. I can recall, I know people in Toronto who have never been to Niagara Falls, one of the great wonders of the world. But I think visit your city, visit your community, wherever you are, visit the province of Manitoba because, honest to goodness, this province is as diverse as they come, and we can talk a little bit more about that a little later on in the program. But it's amazing, really, from the north, far up north, Churchill, down to the Emerson border. We have a very diverse landscape and lots to be proud of and lots to brag about.
Back in 2000, so I'm dating myself a little bit here, I had the honor of being the chair of the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce, and part of that is we represented 60 some odd chambers all over the province. So I'd go out to their annual meetings and dinners and stuff. So I saw cities and towns all over the province that everything has something, whether it's, Churchill obviously has bears. I mean, that's a famous one, but there's so many things in so many towns.
Churchill has a lot more than bears. I mean, they've got the beluga whales.
Yes.
They've got, it is actually, and this is something a lot of people don't know, Churchill's actually one of the best bird watching places in the world. It's kind of a fluke, really, but it's at the intersecting point of most of the migratory bird paths in the province. Of course, if you come down to the south, I'm from the town of Killarney. Now, lots to see and do in Killarney. You've got the Boys of Indus close by with all the murals painted on the side of the building. But every community has something, and they have unique museums or displays or exhibits, something the town has worked hard to put together or put on. And and May the 12th, Manitoba Day, is going to be a good day to as I said, take stock and maybe just take a moment and see where you are and just see how fortunate you are to be wherever you are, whether it's Killarney or Deloraine or Melita, the Pas, you name it.
We're talking with Dwight MacAulay, Chief of Protocol for the province of Manitoba, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. Food and Friends Radio is on TV. Each radio show is filmed and will be posted on Mytoba.ca later today. So if you want to see the TV version of this or previous radio shows, please visit Mytoba.ca. Thanks to 680 CJOB's Nicole, who produces our show, and Riley, who operates the camera, as well as the teachers of the Broadcasting and Media Arts program at TechVoc High School. You can also listen to an audio podcast of Food and Friends at SoundCloud.com and at the iTunes Store. So please just do a search for Food and Friends with Larry at Mytoba.ca or SoundCloud.com or at the iTunes Store, and all the shows will come up for your listening or viewing pleasure. And it's very important for me to mention that Food and Friends is only available because of 680 CJOB and its advertisers. So please make sure you tune in right here every Saturday morning at 8 or listen live at cjob.com. We're back with Dwight MacAulay, Chief of Protocol for the province of Manitoba. So you mentioned in the last segment there's some things happening at the Ledge these days. So I have to say the Ledge is one of the most beautiful buildings in Canada.
It is. I think it is the most beautiful legislative building in the country. It's certainly one of the most beautiful in North America. There's no question about that. It's going to be celebrating its 100th when Manitoba celebrates its 150th. So in 2020, which is going to be a big year. That's going to be the 100th anniversary of the opening of the legislative building. It is a beautiful building. It's in a park-like setting. Of course, all the people in Winnipeg, if you haven't been to it, you've certainly driven by it, I'm sure, at some point. And the different statues out on the grounds, many of which commemorate our armed service personnel and other historical figures that have either represent a cultural identity of the province of Manitoba or a historical figure for the province of Manitoba, like Lord Selkirk, for example. We had the Selkirk settlers' 200th anniversary in Manitoba a couple of years ago in 2012.
Right.
But yeah, the legislative building, it's not only a very beautiful place, it's a very open and welcoming place too. We have lots going on at the legislative building. This month, May, is Manitoba Music Month, and we have school bands from all over coming there at various lunch hours and performing. It's always good. People that come down to the Ledge, let's say on May the 12th, for example, on Manitoba's 145th birthday, if they go up to the rotunda, which is on the second floor of the building, and once you're in the building, you can certainly feel free to walk anywhere you like, really. but we have a lot of displays outlining Manitoba's music contribution to the world. Some of the great music acts that have come out of the province of Manitoba. And I'm not just talking about the Guess Who or Bachman Turner Overdrive or Neil Young, and everybody knows all about them and
Sure.
what a great contribution they've made, and like global performers. But we have people like Lorena McKenna. We have Danielle Lavoie, who's actually from the same small community that I'm from, which was Dunray, Manitoba, who's doing extremely well in Europe and in the province of Quebec. You know, we had Lenny Breau was one of the finest guitar players, if not the finest guitar player that's ever lived. Let's just say one of the finest. He was from Winnipeg, and we have so much to brag about in the musical end of things that it's really mind-boggling. Anyways, all this to say, there's some great displays up in the rotunda of the Legislative Building, and I certainly invite the public to come down on Manitoba Day and have a look at these and just see the great impact these people have had from the province of Manitoba on the global music thing. Let me give you an example. There was a fellow from Winnipeg named Bob Nolan. Now, not many people have heard of Bob Nolan because he passed away many years ago, but he was a country and western singer, entertainer from Winnipeg who went down to California and started a group called the Sons of the Pioneers with a gentleman named Leonard Sly. Now, people who know their history would know that Leonard Sly is better known to the world as Roy Rogers.
Oh.
They had hundreds of hit songs. In fact, I was reading a history of the Beatles, in fact, and one of the songs John Lennon taught his friends to sing when he was just getting, these weren't the other three that were in the Beatles, but John Lennon had his friends. He was teaching them how to sing different stuff. One of the songs, the first songs he taught them to sing was a song called Cool Water. Cool Water was written by Bob Nolan. This is the fellow from Winnipeg. So it's funny how Manitoba's musical tentacles, if you will, have virtually reached every corner and every facet of the entertainment industry, even as high as the Beatles.
And you know your music. I mean, just judging what you're telling me here, you study this, eh?
I know a little bit of it, but I'll tell you, there's a gentleman in Winnipeg named John Einerson who writes an article in the Winnipeg Free Press every second Sunday, I believe. And John's a friend of mine, and he is easily one of the finest music historians, I think, in North America as it comes to the rock and roll industry and the music industry and that. It's a very talented guy. He gives a great tour, by the way, in the summertime, so I would recommend to all of your listeners to watch for that.
Okay.
And that's also something that makes you proud to be a Manitoban when you take this tour and you realize how many global figures came out of the province of Manitoba. Another one is Terry Jacks, the Poppy family. That may be your younger listeners may not know who that was, but they were a pretty popular group. And I think I mentioned Lorena McKenna a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
But we have lots and lots of really outstanding entertainers who have made an impact globally.
So it would seem to me, based on what you're saying, and a little bit I know, because I'm not a fanatic, I mean, I don't know a lot about music industry, we seem to have more on a per capita basis of musical acts coming out of Winnipeg than some other cities.
We do. As a matter of fact, John was telling me an interesting statistic. I think we have roughly, 2 or 3% of the population, but I think 10% of the entertainment industry in Canada claims to have a connection to the city of Winnipeg. I may have got the figures wrong, but it's something like that. But it's disproportionate. You're absolutely right. Punching above our weight, I guess, would be another way of capturing that phrase. But we've made a good impact on that. And of course, we have these great display panels down at the Legislative Building for people to come and see. And of course, another thing happening on Manitoba Day is going to be a replica of this mosasaur, the giant dinosaur I was just trying to tell you about. The real one is on display in Morden, but they're going to bring a replica of this down to the Legislative Building. It's going to be quite interesting to see.
That'll be there for Manitoba Day?
That'll be there on Manitoba Day.
All right.
And of course, the Legislative Building is in operation, and people can always come down and see the operation of the building itself.
It's worth checking out, and there's displays there as well, so that's
Absolutely.
great. We're talking with Dwight MacAulay, Chief of Protocol for the province of Manitoba, and we're just going to take a break for the news, sports, and weather. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Food and Friends. I'm Larry McIntosh, and it's time for our recipe segment called Now We're Cooking. Now, you don't need to write this recipe down, as it is today's Recipe of the Day at peakmarket.com and in the Winnipeg Free Press. You can get all the information there. Today's recipe is lamb casserole, and I love lamb, so this sounds good. Here's what you'll need. Lean, boneless lamb cut into cubes, olive oil, butter, brandy, onions finely chopped, minced garlic cloves, all-purpose flour, brown sugar, red wine vinaigrette, tomato paste, and beef stock. You'll also need some rosemary, thyme, salt and pepper, bay leaf, some sliced carrots, cubed rutabagas, potatoes that have been cubed, pearl onions, snow peas, and some chopped parsley. And this recipe serves 6, and that's why you couldn't possibly write it down that fast. Again, this is, if you're interested in this recipe, it's the recipe today at peakmarket.com and in the Winnipeg Free Press. We'll be right back after this break with Dwight MacAulay, Chief of Protocol for the province of Manitoba. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. If you were involved in a school or daycare fundraising in some way, I hope you register for the Farm to School Manitoba Healthy Choice fundraiser. This fundraiser is open to all Manitoba schools and licensed daycares anywhere in Manitoba. And basically the fundraiser works like this. The students sell bundles of Manitoba-grown vegetables to raise money for their school or daycare. Bundle A has carrots, cooking onions, and red potatoes and sells for $10. Bundle B has larger packs of carrots, red potatoes, and cooking onions, as well as green cabbage and parsnips, and sells for $20. Each bundle comes with a reusable shopping bag, which is great for grocery shopping. The outstanding thing about this fundraiser is that the school or daycare keeps half the selling price, a 50% profit, which is great for any fundraiser. And last year, this fundraiser raised over $411,000 for Manitoba schools and daycares in 1 year. The fundraiser starts in September and runs till December, but you can register for it now and get all the information. Just go to farmtoschool.ca. Farmtoschool.ca is what I was trying to say. Or you can go to our website, peakmarket.com. We have a link there. So it's a great fundraiser. We're back with Dwight MacAulay, Chief of the Protocol for the province of Manitoba. We were just talking during the news about military contribution, and tell us a little bit what you were talking about there.
Well, yesterday, May the 8th, was the 70th anniversary of VE Day, Victory in Europe. Probably when the day happened 70 years ago, it was probably one of the biggest celebrations that's ever happened in the world. But, you know, earlier on in the program, Larry, we were talking about how lucky we are to live in the province of Manitoba. Mm-hmm. And I think this is true of anybody who lives in Canada, truthfully. You got to give thanks to what happened. And it really wasn't that long ago when the World War II actually happened. And you look at the sacrifices that were made by people 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, it really boggles your mind. You know, Brookside Cemetery here in Winnipeg is, in fact, one of the largest cemeteries in Canada, if not the largest military cemetery in Canada. There's about 11 or 12,000 graves of people, you know, who served this nation with honor and certainly with sacrifice. There's no question about it. But I would like to just mention something like this, because everything we have, and we have a lot in the province of Manitoba, and we're so lucky to be here. But we owe so much to these people who gave everything, really, so that we could be as free as we want and say what we want and live where we want and do what we want and so on. And I always think, you know, we should never forget that. I'm a very big believer in that, and in giving thanks to the members of our armed forces who really step up every single time they are asked. And Canadians have made that, and people of the Canadian armed forces have really made this nation proud for decades and decades. Really, right from the time of World War I, when we've just did an outstanding job in many historic turning point battles. That's true in World War II as well, and of course there's been many subsequent battles, wars, peacekeeping efforts, and so on, where Canadians have been involved. And I'm really proud to be a Canadian and have and be very thankful for what those people have done for us.
You're absolutely well put. I mean, again, we're talking earlier about taking a step back to think about how lucky we are in Manitoba. Yeah. Take a step back and think of the sacrifices that people and their families have made over the years.
Oh, it's incredible. Last year I had the chance to travel to France with the Premier and the military envoy for the province of Manitoba, Ms. Deanne Crothers, and we visited the beaches of Normandy, and there was the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landing, right, and so on. And you cannot help but be absolutely moved, humbled, and in many respects silenced just by being there, and you realize the enormity of the sacrifice that was made by these people.
We had Phil Hood, who's with River East Travel, on the show months ago now, but he was talking about the military tours that he's doing, where he goes over with some veterans to a large degree and visits some of these areas.
Phil was there, in fact, last
year. Oh, was he?
Yes, and I know he's done this many times. No, he's a great guy, and he's got a great business there, River East Travel.
And but when he was talking about that again, it made me step back and go. You kind of, I don't want to say you forget, but you kind of take it for granted, like you do so many things.
You do take it for granted because it's for young people. It's largely a television show in many respects. But for many people my age and maybe to a lesser extent your age, but our fathers and grandfathers were actively involved in these things or in some way, either directly or indirectly. And I doubt if there's a Canadian family, quite frankly, that is not touched in some way by what has happened in these battles and conflicts.
Some of the statues that are at the ledge, are they memorizing or keeping this memories alive? Is what I'm trying to tell you.
They are. We do have some statues. I think we have 6 or 7 statues that commemorate the contributions of our military and in fact Memorial Boulevard is named for that, and Memorial Park is named for that as well. So yeah, there are lots of examples on the grounds of the legislative building to commemorate and honor the sacrifices that were made. But all of this to say, when we have Manitoba Day, which is in just a few days from right now, it didn't come free. There was a great price paid for it, and even right back to when we joined Confederation in 1870, there was different battles that are well known and documented about different things that have happened, and we're living in the best time right now. You know? It's amazing, and we should all be really thankful and proud and grateful that we're in the province of Manitoba, which I think is one of the best provinces, if not the best, in Canada.
Shelley and I were at the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce annual general meeting on last Saturday night, and we did Manitoba trivia there. But of course, that's very close to Shiloh, where there's some armed forces there. But we had at Manitoba trivia, we had 12 questions that we asked the chambers from all over the province. So I'm going to ask you one of the questions.
Sure.
All right. So, what is Manitoba's motto?
Thank you for asking me, Larry. I walk by it every single day, glorious and free.
See, you know.
Yeah.
Because most people, as I would have said when we had a choice of various choices, friendly Manitoba is what most people thought.
Here's a bit of trivia probably a lot of your listeners don't know about the province of Manitoba when you're talking about Shiloh. The original Grey Cup, and by the way, the Grey Cup is coming to Winnipeg this fall.
Right.
And then we have, just to digress for 1 second, we have the FIFA World Cup coming here in virtually next month, the Women's World Cup. I mean, how lucky are we? It's just, this is a world-class soccer event that's going to happen in Winnipeg in part. And then we have the Holy Grail of football coming here this November. But the original Grey Cup actually is in Shiloh, Manitoba.
Really?
At the base, yes.
The original Grey Cup?
The original Grey Cup.
I did not know that.
Well,
I'll use that for trivia next year.
Please do. Well, if they're listening, they may get a jump on you. But yeah, apparently when the original Grey Cup arrived, the Governor General at the time thought, this is a little bit too small. I want to go for something bigger. And I have no clue how it wound up in Shiloh, but there it is.
Wow. We're talking with Dwight MacAulay, Chief of Protocol for the province of Manitoba, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. I hope you've had a chance to see Peak of the Market Sesame Street potato bags featuring 9 different Sesame Street characters. Along with the characters, you'll still see the Peak of the Market logo, so you're guaranteed it is grown right here in Manitoba. And Peak of the Market potatoes are in your stores right now from last summer. We store them for you until the new ones come out at the end of July. We're very pleased to partner with Sesame Street on the Eat Brighter program. And the Sesame Street Eat Brighter program is all about encouraging children and adults to eat more fruits and vegetables. We're back with Dwight MacAulay, Chief of Protocol for the province of Manitoba. Manitoba Day, May 12th, Tuesday, big celebration.
Big thing, and something I want to mention, Larry, it's not really part of a celebration, but there's going to be an announcement on May the 12th, as there is every year for the past several years, on the recipients to be invested into the Order of Manitoba. The Order of Manitoba is the highest honor the province can give anyone or award anyone. And we have, on May the 12th, Manitoba Day, is when we announce the recipients, and they'll actually be invested at a ceremony at the Legislative Building in July. But I think the public will be very pleased with, as I'm sure they are every year, with the 12 individuals that we've selected this year to receive this honor. So May 12th, it's announced the 12 people right? for the Order of Manitoba. I don't know where I got 5 from. 12 people for Order of Manitoba. And that is an incredible honor for those people. And every year, I mean, I look at who gets that, and I don't know all of them. Some of them are unknown to me, but you read about their bios and like, wow, this is incredible. And, it is incredible, and they're incredible. And this is something that's, I think, is very important, is you don't have to be a rock star or a movie star or to receive the Order of Manitoba. The Order of Manitoba is for people who have made an outstanding contribution to their community, to the province of Manitoba, to their nation. Some people have made a contribution to the world in many respects. And so we encourage people to, if you know somebody that you think has really done an outstanding job or a contribution in any field, whether it's arts, culture, entertainment, education, science, you name it, let us know about it. Let us know about this individual, because everybody is eligible to be nominated for the Order of Manitoba.
And it's a committee that looks at the nominations that come in and make a decision. That's got to be tough because there's lots of outstanding people in our province.
There's an advisory council for the Order of Manitoba. The Lieutenant Governor is the Chancellor of the Order of Manitoba. That's Mr. Lee at the moment. But truthfully, there are dozens and dozens of people who are nominated, and it's too bad we couldn't award more, but we do limit it to 12. And truthfully, you could take the top 50 or 60 people and just throw a dart at the wall, and you'd be getting an outstanding Manitoba citizen who's deserving. But this year we'll be doing 12 again, and I hope the people of Manitoba will be. In fact, I'm sure they'll be very pleased with the selection.
But you can't tell us now. We have to wait till Tuesday.
You're gonna have to wait till Tuesday. I'm sorry. That's.
I thought we were gonna have groundbreaking news here, but
no, not this
wait till
year.
Tuesday.
Well, invite me back next year, Larry. Maybe we'll see what we can do.
So we also have a new Lieutenant Governor coming in.
We do have a new Lieutenant Governor who's going to be sworn in, installed, I guess is the correct word. This is going to be near the end of June, and this is Mrs. Janice Filman. Of course, we're all delighted with that, and I think the whole province is really going to be delighted with Janice Filman as the Lieutenant Governor. And we have been so lucky to have so many talented Lieutenant Governors, and the current Lieutenant Governor, Philip Lee, and his wife Anita Lee, have done an outstanding, with a capital O, outstanding job for the people of Manitoba for almost 6 years, and we've been so lucky. And all the before that was Mr. Harvard, and then we had Mr. Lieb and Mr. Dumont and Ms. McGonigal and Dr. Johnson and on, and they've all just been outstanding individuals. And I've been very lucky to have actually worked with and known many of these people. So I think I've been very fortunate in that regard. But yes, we are going to have a new Lieutenant Governor for the ceremony. Actually, when the new people for the Order of Manitoba are invested, we will have a new Lieutenant Governor for that ceremony. And
I have to say, Janice Filman is an outstanding choice.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Just amazing and a terrific lady. Yeah,
there's nobody that deserves it more than her, and unbelievable in the community, volunteer work, incredible memory for names and details. She's perfect for it.
We could fill the rest of the program with superlatives about Janice, and I know she's going to do an outstanding, fantastic job.
And the role is honorary to some degree, or ceremony to some degree, but they really do make a difference in our province when they go out and talk to groups and they represent
absolutely.
The Queen.
The Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Lee, currently is patron to, I think, about 60 organizations, nonprofits. There's a lot of military involvement in that category as well. But they do a great job representing. Of course, they represent Her Majesty the Queen. That is the role. But they go out into the province of Manitoba and they meet with people and do an outstanding job as a goodwill ambassador. For not just for the Crown, but for the province and the government as a whole.
And I won't ask you this question, but I'm going to speak to it. I've looked at how that all operates. There's not they don't get paid a lot of money. Most probably take pay cuts to take that role. There isn't a huge budget to operate the house and put on, various events. It's very well done, and I can't believe they do as much as they do, getting out and traveling with the budgets they have. So
they do an amazing job.
Yeah.
And we just mentioned the Order of Manitoba, the ceremony, and of course you just mentioned to me in the break last year we had a very special year. We had His Royal Highness Prince Charles here to take part in the ceremony, and I know you were there as well.
And we were very fortunate to be there, and it was exciting to be there. It brought tears to your eyes, literally. It was an unbelievable moment to be there.
Yeah, it was outstanding. And here again, just another example of how lucky we are to be in Manitoba. When you look at the tremendous people that we have in the province of Manitoba, and that really is one of the great assets of this province are the people of Manitoba, and we're lucky enough to honor some of them each year.
And I don't know whether it's because, we're not isolated, but we're not next to another major city. But we all seem to work together here, whether that's a community, a charity event. We all know somebody. It's just an amazing community. The province is an amazing place to be. It's great to honor these people, but we're very fortunate.
We are. I mean, there's basically, I think, 2 degrees of separation at most between most of the people of this province. It's tremendous. I think we're very fortunate, as we've mentioned many times throughout this program this morning.
Yeah, I know we're going on about it, but Manitoba Day is coming up, so I get to go on.
May the 12th, Manitoba Day, and Larry, I said it earlier in the program, and I think I've said this on previous programs because I've been lucky enough to be. I was lucky enough to be invited here before, but you have done an outstanding job. You always promote the province of Manitoba when we get close to to Manitoba Day, and thank you for doing that. And I hope you continue to do that for years to come.
Well, thank you very much for that. It's close to our hearts, so it's easy to do. We'll be right back with Dwight MacAulay, Chief for Protocol for the province of Manitoba, after we take this break. Welcome back to Food and Friends. Please join me next Saturday, May 16th at 8 a.m. when my guest will be Sean Freely from the Canadian Red Cross. Sean will tell us about all the wonderful work the Canadian Red Cross does right here in Manitoba and across the world. My guest today has been Dwight MacAulay, Chief for Protocol for the province of Manitoba. Dwight, this has been fun talking to you. You're very enthusiastic.
You know, Larry, thanks for inviting me down here, because this is one of my favorite topics, is talking about the province of Manitoba and what a great place it is, especially talking about some of the trivia that you and I were sharing on different points. It's been a real hoot, and I've been once again enjoyed being back here with you. Thank you very much for considering me to be on the program.
Well, you'll be back again someday, I'm sure, and happy Manitoba Day on Tuesday.
And happy Manitoba Day to you, and happy Manitoba Day to all your listeners as well. We look forward to seeing some of them down at the Legislative Building a little later on this week.
Great. Thank you, Dwight, for being on Food and Friends. Happy birthday, Manitoba. Take care, and please, don't forget to eat your veggies.